everybody, Jill Fleming, happy Friday. I hope you are having an awesome day. I'm so happy able to have some wine in one of my favorite glasses. So this is a little seahorse that's actually hand blown in a glass. How fun is that, okay? So in case you're wondering why I'm going back and forth here, I have two different cameras going because I like to record extra backup just in case we have any issues. I am so happy to welcome you to one of my favorite dishes, okay? This is roasted pan chicken with pan sauce. And what I'm going to be doing tonight is a really quick demo to show you guys what this cookware is all about, okay? You are going to absolutely love it. And as a host this month, you actually get 60% off, okay? So what I'm showing you here is the quote-unquote is what I call the sexy pan, okay? This is one of my favorite pieces of cookware. You can see that it's stainless steel. And there's this really cool grid inside, okay? So what the grid is, it's actually 5 layers of titanium, okay? And the 5 layers of titanium is the non-stick surface, okay? So you're technically still cooking on stainless steel, but the non-stick obviously makes it a little bit easier for you to cook, okay? And when you're using something like this, I always say like this is your one pan meal. This is the one that you're gonna be doing, say, any of your dishes that you would, like chicken dishes, dinner dishes, the rest of it, okay? So this is gonna be the workhorse in your kitchen. This is not the pan that you would think that you'd wanna use like for your bacon and eggs and everything, okay? Because what can happen is you still have that stainless steel in there and things that will have a certain fat content within their food, what's gonna happen is it's gonna get stuck, okay? So the whole thing is that you're cooking on a bit of a higher heat, but I always say watch your heat level because what can happen with the heat level is these pans themselves are extremely hot, okay? And then you add that extra heat and you're gonna find it is very, very, very hot cooking, and you always end up having issues where you can end up burning something, okay? This is not something that you wanna do, so always watch your heat, turn it down to medium heat is what I always suggest to start with, okay? So we're just gonna heat our pan up here, and I had mentioned about that medium heat. We're gonna put some oil in the pan, and I'm just using olive oil. This recipe calls for vegetable oil. Again, use whatever oil you like, okay? I'm not like necessarily picky about this. Now, the one thing that we're doing with this, and I didn't think to do, is you're supposed to be putting obviously the chicken in the pan with the seasoning on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this one after and not to worry too much about that stuff, okay? But we're gonna just let this heat up a bit because again, we wanna make sure that the temperature of the pan is when we put the chicken in is that it's gonna give it a really good sear. If you start with a cold pan, you actually risk having things stick, okay? So again, it kind of contradicts itself, but watch your heat with stainless steel. You're using your oil, you're using all the different things, okay? This is honestly one of my favorite pans, and I call it the sexy pan because you know what, again, look at how good it looks, okay? So again, this is stainless steel. It has a non-stick coating, which is done with titanium, so we don't worry about ever having issues of Teflon because again, that is banned in Canada. And you're gonna laugh here, so you can see I got these little chicken strips. It's just a chicken fillet. It's essentially a chicken breast that's cut up, but when I was at Costco, of course, I grabbed the wrong ones, but you know, again, this is great for this dish because I don't actually have to cut anything after as we're putting things together. And you're gonna laugh as you can see here, I've got the recipe, okay? So again, we're not perfect chefs, we are pampered chefs, okay? So 1 second here, I'm just washing my hands. Hop on and let me know what you guys are having for dinner tonight. Let's see what everybody is having for dinner in the house, okay? So we're gonna do, this is our Dijon mustard from Pampered Chef. This is gluten-free and MSG-free. And we're gonna just sprinkle this all over the chicken. Okay, and we're gonna let that cook up. So we are just letting this chicken come to a sear side, and then we are gonna flip it. I'm using a pair of our awesome chef's tongs. These are those small ones. You can see that they're stuck together. When you flip over, there's a little rotating piece here, and it actually keeps them open, okay? So again, it locks it, flip it over, they're open. It's really great for when you're doing all of that different cooking, okay? So the next step is we're gonna leave the chicken here for a second. We are gonna flip it because again, with these tiny little pieces of chicken, obviously they're gonna cook extremely fast. I would say probably about 3 to 4 chicken breasts. You could have 4 chicken legs. We don't eat a lot of dark meat in our house, so this is the one that I always suggest to use is the chicken breast. Not these tiny little pieces, but I would probably go with Chicken breast, like I said, 3 to 4, okay? So we're just gonna season all the pieces there. The next step that we're doing, now this calls in the recipe for asparagus. I am not a fan of how asparagus tastes this time of year. So I tend to go with green beans, okay? And you can see that I've already cut the ends off these. Breakfast at your place, how awesome is that? That is one of my favorite dishes, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cut up the mushrooms while this guy is cooking. Okay, so I'm just using a chef's knife. I'm just gonna cut off the ends of these mushrooms really quick. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. The next tool that I'm gonna be using is called our quick slice. Now this again calls for cremini, or there's different mushrooms in our house. We don't eat a lot of them. I absolutely love white button mushrooms. Cremini I like, but I don't like portobello mushrooms. I find like the taste on them's a little odd. It's too mushroomy. Check that chicken. The whole goal with the chicken is, you can see we're just getting nice sear on it. We're not going to be cooking the chicken fully through. Okay, the whole activity is just to get a little brown on it, because this is going to be going into the oven. Okay. We're just going to let that go for a little minute here. And then the next thing I'm using is the quick slice. This is one of my absolute favorite tools. This is the one that takes over when we have like our egg slicer. The one thing about the egg slicer is the wires can bend over time, but like look at all that mushroom. Okay, I'm doing like 3 mushrooms at a time. You can do peppers with this. You can do warm chicken. You can do things like hard cheeses. The only things that I warn you against is not doing is things as hard as onions or potatoes, okay? So you just want to make sure that you're using anything that is a little bit softer and a little bit more forgiving. It's great if you do, say, a lot of breakfast foods in your house, okay, and you're doing a lot of different prep. But like, look at that whole bowl of mushrooms that I just did, okay? So that's the next thing we're going to do, okay? We're going to take the chicken out of the pan. A lot of heat going here, so I'm just going to take that off for a second. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, I'm just going to take that off to the side for a second. You see that the chicken's fully cooked again. I had talked about buying the one product wrong from Costco, which is totally fine. It was the chicken strips, so they're unbreaded, but I would just use 4 chicken legs, or you can do it with 4 chicken breasts, depending on your weight. If you're doing those big ones from Costco, you may only want to do it with 3 because they are huge. And another thing that I'm using right now is one of my favorite knives. So Pampered Chef's knives are German engineered. These are some of the most beautiful knives that I've ever worked with. It has an acai wood handle. They have the tang that runs all the way from tip to tail on the knife. And these ones are properly weighted. So you're going to find that when you go to cut with them, there's a little spot on the chef's knife. So again, we're just going to cut right in. If you're looking for a good knife, I always say start it with the one that you use the most. Okay, so that's going in there. We're going to throw that onion in the pan. And again, this is a really fast dish to be preparing. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit more oil. And of course, we're going to turn the stove back on here. And we're going to be throwing the mushrooms, the onions, and of course I forgot one thing, so bear with me for a second here. Garlic, okay? I am a huge lover of garlic, and of course I forgot to bring that out. And what I'm looking for is my little cleaning tool, which of course I cannot find. If you know Pampered Chef, we have one of the best garlic presses on the market, okay? So with our garlic press, you actually don't need to peel your garlic. Okay, so I'm taking the clove here, and I'm going to pop it right in with the paper on. I'm going to squish that in. Now, normally it comes with a little cleaning tool, but of course mine is not in the drawer where it should be. So I'll figure out which family member to knock down later. Okay, so again, And here's a fun tip for you. If you ever go to farmers markets and you find garlic that you can buy in big chunks, I always recommend getting it and then bring it home and actually put it in a paper bag in the dark in your pantry, because you're actually going to find that garlic will last a few months if you put it into a paper bag. It's absolutely amazing. Okay, so again, we're just softening these up. This is 1 onion. This is about 8 ounces of mushrooms. I've done 2 cloves of garlic in here. If you like a really strong garlic taste or flavor to it, I would add the garlic right at the end, but I want the flavor to be right throughout. I'm just finding that my pan is really hot, so I'm actually going to take and put a little bit of water in it, just so we can get a little bit of steaming action with the onions and the garlic. Do a little bit more water there. Okay. So we're going to saute these for 2 to 3 minutes. Again, you want to make sure that you've got a little bit of moisture in the pan, whether it's you're using, water, you're using like olive oil, butter. Maybe you want to do a little bit of water like I had just done, okay? So we're cooking down all those veggies. You're caramelizing, you're browning. You can see the beautiful texture that's coming with these, okay? And it's absolutely amazing that we have that, okay? The next step that we're going to do is we're actually going to add the chicken stock, which again, I don't know how I forgot to grab this chicken stock. So bear with me for 1 second. Again, we are pampered chefs. We are not perfect chefs. Okay, and I'm just going to check here. So we were putting in 1/3 of a cup of chicken stock, okay? Now normally you would mix this chicken stock with water, but due to the time, this is a product that I buy from Costco. I'm just going to put this right in here and we'll get it mixed, okay? And we're going to bring that chicken stock right in there. We're going to get it all mixed around. We're going to put in 1 extra tablespoon of rub that goes in here. Okay, so that goes into that mix there. You can also do white wine. And again, this does call for asparagus, so what the mix I'm actually going to do with this one here is do green beans instead, okay? So you can kind of see that this is coming, you want to reduce the liquid by half, which it comes really fast together. Then I'm going to add those green beans that I talked about. So it seems like a lot, but again, they're going to cook down, okay? So the whole goal is that we're going to take this and we're going to put this in the oven on 425. This is for 10 minutes, and all we're essentially doing is just cooking the other veggies, okay? So then we've got tomatoes going in there. And honestly, you're eating the colors of the rainbow. Like, I wish you guys could smell this dish. It smells so good. The next thing we're going to do is we're taking a lemon. Okay, so this will go in the dish there. And this calls for 2 tablespoons. If you don't have a citrus press, I highly recommend for one from Pampered Chef. This is cast aluminum. And you can see how strong it is, that it actually inverts the fruit inside out. And a fun little fact, I've been with Pampered Chef for 7 years now. That was my very first purchase, even before I was a consultant. So I've had that citrus press for 10 years now. Okay, so that gets mixed in there. And we're going to do a little bit of salt. I'm using our salt and pepper grinder shakers from Pampered Chef. These guys are nice because they actually come with a holder, okay? You don't have salt and pepper on your countertop, which is my favorite, okay? Not having a mess. We're putting pepper in there. Last step is putting the chicken over top, okay? So make sure, dump everything in there that has those pan sauces with it, okay? The chicken that you'd actually cooked, okay? So voila, there is dinner. This is going to go into my oven for 10 minutes, cook off, and we are set. It is absolutely one of my favorite dishes. All of our cookware is oven safe. you have no concerns. The only thing you just want to be aware of is that you're not putting under the broiler, okay? But these ones here, you can put everything right in there. On our other line that we have our non-stick, which will be returning back in March. Again, you take the handles off. These are metal safe that you can use them in. You can put these in your dishwasher. They're absolutely amazing cookware, okay? So thanks again for popping on. Hope you guys have an awesome night. We'll talk to you soon.